on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks.
Here's the latest news on the invasion of Ukraine. I'm Phil Hewlett from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. More damage unfolding in Ukraine on this 16th day of fighting. Russia reportedly bombed an institute with an experimental nuclear reactor inside. And there's concern Russia could use a chemical weapons attack in Ukraine and make it look like Ukraine did it as a false flag event to make it look like Russia did it. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson tells Sky News it's straight out of the Kremlin's playbook.
When they themselves deploy chemical weapons, as I fear they may, they have a sort of fake story ready to go.
The price at the pump increased again overnight, but eased up a little. The LA County average is up only 2 cents to $5.80 for a gallon of regular. It's 3 cents less on average in Orange County. Southland weather from KFI. Sunny and windy. Highs in the mid-70s inland, upper 60s at the beaches. Winds could gust to 50 miles per hour in the canyons and passes. Right now, 56 in Anaheim Hills. Costa Mesa, 56. Downtown LA, 50. And in Burbank, 55 degrees. From the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Phil Hewlett.
In East LA, there is a work zone that's on the 5 northbound from Dittman to Grande Vista. 3 right lanes are going to be combed off for road work until 5. Expect slowing throughout that area. Hacienda Heights, we have good news. Earlier crash that was on the 60 eastbound at Hacienda Boulevard has been cleared. Your drive is recovering in that area. Costa Mesa, there is a full freeway closure. 405 southbound from Harbor Boulevard to Fairview. All lanes are going to be combed off for road work. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Brian Van.
Joining us today, Scott Painter, CEO and co-founder of Autonomy. It's a new company. It's right here in LA that offers car subscriptions.
The whole idea behind a subscription was being able to simplify the transaction and make it easier for the customer. There is no better way to get into a Tesla Model 3 than the Autonomy subscription.
Buying a car also seems so cumbersome. This seems to be a super easy way to get you into this Tesla Model 3.
You're doing the entire thing on your phone. You're not buying a car. You are saying, I want to use the car. We own the car. We manage all the tax, the title, the registration. All the maintenance is covered. So this is a very real way to get access to flexible mobility without having to go through the headache of ownership and buying the car and the negotiation that often goes along with it.
You mentioned that this whole process can just be literally minutes of you on your phone. What are the steps and how is it so quick?
You simply go to autonomy.com, install the app, you simply give us your driver's license and that digital form of payment, and you get either the car delivered to you or you go and pick it up. It's that simple.
Wow, I'm excited about it.
All right, Trump's next big rally will happen this coming Saturday in South Carolina. Only one major news network covers these rallies live, and that's Newsmax. They have hosts like Grant Stinchfield, Greg Kelly, Rob Schmidt, Eric Bowling, Jen Pellegrino, Sean Spicer, and more. And you're going to hear perspective you cannot get anywhere else. Well, millions are tuning into Newsmax, and Trump supports Newsmax. This Saturday, Trump will talk about the war in Ukraine, the danger of a global war, and those exploding oil prices. So join Newsmax's Trump list and get the rally information, plus more about Trump and Biden. Just text the word TURN to 39747. That's TURN to 39747. With news breaking about Putin's war, make sure you sign up now. Text TURN to 39747. Make the switch to Newsmax.
Research shows that when a parent consistently responds to an infant's needs, a trusting relationship and lifelong attachment develops. Babies who are held and comforted when they need it during the first 6 months of life tend to be more secure and confident as toddlers and older children. This is just one of the reasons why California's Paid Family Leave program provides partial wage replacement benefits to California workers who take time off from work to bond with a new child.
This is your moment. The first of many moments as a new father to come that really do matter. Moments you'll never forget and moments you can never get back. This is your moment to put in the work where it really counts. At home with your newborn. Paid Family Leave can provide new fathers up to 8 weeks of partial wage replacement to bond with your new baby. This is your moment. Take it. To learn more, visit CaliforniaPaidFamilyLeave.com. Moments matter.
Inventing Anna, the official podcast, delves deeper into the story behind the Netflix series about Anna Sorokin, the fake heiress who stole the hearts and money of New York social elite, featuring conversations with the actual people who played a part in this iconic story, and the series creator Shonda Rhimes.
My theory of Anna, which is, it is that thing that Vivian says, I will make you famous. The world will know who you are.
Listen to Inventing Anna, the official podcast on the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
KFI AM 640.
tears start to fall. Look somewhere above her, pretend you don't love her, pretend you don't see her at all. Pretend you don't see her, my heart. Although she is coming away, pretend you don't need her, my heart. But smile and pretend to be gay.
From somewhere out there, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Gina Salvati's in for Tom Danheiser, and I just asked her if she knew who sang that song. She did not know, so she doesn't win the prize. And then I asked her what movie was that song sung in. She didn't know that either. That was Goodfellas. Those of you who remember that, but what a classic song that was. ParanormalDate.com keeps cruising along, 268 people shy of 125,000 signed up members. So just keep going and have some fun meeting people at ParanormalDate.com. And if you're over 60, go to ParanormalDate.com/seniors and meet people that way too.
At ParanormalDate.com, you meet the most fantastic people.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. What brings you here?
Yeah, I'm here to meet someone who understands me.
How so?
Well, I'm into UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, the paranormal, that kind of stuff. But can't seem to find anyone who gets it.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, Tom. I gotta go.
Okay, guess that's not your cup of tea. You sure?
Very. Good luck with that.
I can't meet anyone when I'm out, and I really can't find a website for my unique interests. What is one to do?
Have you thought about ParanormalDate.com?
What? Who are you?
I'm a paranormal matchmaker, and it's ParanormalDate.com. It's a website for people looking for people like them. Stuff you like, remember?
Interesting. I'll give it a try.
Well, let's try this again.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Hey, I'm Deb. Your profile on ParanormalDate.com looked very interesting. So you really saw a UFO?
Well, yeah. It was so intense, but not as intense as meeting you.
You're an alien chasing flirt, but I kind of like it.
Wow, this ParanormalDate.com thing really works.
Maybe ParanormalDate.com is for you. People with an interest in things they hear on George's show find their match daily. So if you're looking for that special someone with an interest in UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, and of course, the paranormal, come to the dating site inspired by George Norrie. It's always free to search, and if you decide to upgrade to our amazing new features, use promo code GEORGE for a great discount. ParanormalDate.com. You are not alone.
Real people, real stories.
So I had an appointment with the surgeon, and he was told me what all he was going to do, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I came home, I started on Carnivora, and I called and canceled my surgery, and my problem on my skin went away.
I coughed, and I coughed until I choked 24 hours a day. So I saw 3 different pulmonologists, and they could do nothing. Someone had mentioned to me about a product that President Reagan had taken. I ordered it within 1 week. 1 week. My coughing had stopped.
I have bruising and that's all over my arms, 3 weeks after I was on the Carnivore, I noticed, I'm looking at my arms, and I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. That has to be the Carnivore.
We're talking about the power of waking up your immune system, which, as you heard, has incredible healing powers. And make no mistake, this is the most versatile application to address all abnormal cells in humans and animals. Try it, and you'll see for yourself. Get 15% off any product using the promo code GEORGE. Call 1-866-836-8735. That's 1-866-836-8735 or visit carnivora.com, carnivora.com.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Your historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit LoanDepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. David Eady with us. His website is his name, linked up at coasttocoastam.com for you. His latest book is called Executor Help. David, what happens when someone dies? Let's say they leave you $50,000, but they've got debts, they've got a house payment still. What happens to all that?
Well, it's going to depend on what how the will is set up, and the executor has to organize before you get that $50,000, and it may not be $50,000 because you say there's debt and there's probably taxes to pay. So I always, and I talk about it in the book, is that you've got three goals as an executor. You want to make sure that you pay the right amount of taxes. You make sure that you pay the beneficiaries, and you also make sure that you close the estate. You can make sure that the probate court says that all estate taxes and all debts have been paid and everything's clear and free. Because as an executor, you can be held personally liable. So before you pay out any money, you make sure that all the taxes and debts are paid, and then what's left over, then you give that on to the beneficiary. Because you executor, as I said before, you're going to be held legally liable. Before we go on, just before the break, we were talking about what's the how do you have that conversation? And we talked about, the family. You're talking to the family about, what your wishes are going to be.
Right.
But if you see that mom or dad aren't doing well, or you want to make sure that if you're an executor or you want to know what they're doing, you might want to bring up the point and say, you know what, again, or maybe it's over a holiday dinner or something, I just had updated my will and I've done some things. What have you done? Where are you at that point in your life or something like that? Just gently bring in the conversation. It's not going to be a conversation that you're going to have once and then it's going to be over and done with. It could be something that you gradually move into, and then you at least know where you stand in terms of where your parents are and what needs to be done. Because if you see that the faculties are, deteriorating. I had a friend of mine talk to me recently. She had that conversation because her mom had dementia, and she was able to get her to, make sure that all these things are organized before the disease took over. So you want to make sure you bring in that conversation, and don't make it sound as if you're crying, but you've got to work that fine line, but you still have to have that conversation. It's a difficult conversation. I get it. Nobody wants to have this conversation with their parents, but it has to be done.
What do you do with a house? Let's say it's not encumbered, no mortgage. How do you get it into your name?
It would depend on how it's named in the will. If it's a group of people as beneficiaries for the will, then you'll just make sure that either you're going to keep the home, or if it's valued at a certain amount, that you pay off the beneficiaries and you keep the home. Properties, vacation properties, homes, those are probably one of the bigger contentious fights that people have, families have when it comes to an estate. But again, all of that could be alleviated by having the conversation in advance.
Who picks the executor?
Well, the testator, the person who's drawing up the will, they're the one that picks the executor. Again, a conversation which you have to have with your family members. Explain why you picked a particular thing. You have 3 kids. Maybe one is more, a little more administrative. It's good at being organized. You might pick them and you explain to the other three the reason why you picked them. Or you might say, you know what, all three of you are going to be co-executors, but you also have to remember and understand that nothing can get done unless there's three signatures on the estate for anything to go on the side. Now, discourage check, all of those things, you're going to need three signatures. So I would suggest that you pick someone who is younger. So if it's a child, you pick someone who's close nearby, making things easier. But again, every estate is different, and for whatever reason you're picking the executor, you need to make sure that you properly prepare them for the job ahead.
We've heard some horror stories that some executors have stolen or pilfered the money. Does that happen a lot?
Yes.
It does.
It can, and that's why there's got to be checks and balances. That, you know, the beneficiaries, it's got to be a two-way street when it comes to communication. The executor should let the beneficiaries know what, you know, the estate, the state of the estate, what is coming to them, and then and also to have that communication, Zoom meetings, emails every 1 to 2 weeks, and keep them informed of what's going on. Because then the beneficiaries are also looking to see that, yes, okay, they're doing the right thing, and it's moving at the right pace. And it's also a way for the executor to be, you know, be checked on. I don't know why someone would want to try and steal from an estate, because they're personally liable for the administration of the estate. So then what you end up having is that you end up having the executors with the beneficiaries taking you to court, and you don't want that either.
Why do people sue over a will when it clearly is spelled out what's in the will?
You're talking to someone who went through that. Again, it comes back to what I said earlier. It's the curse of inheritance. Someone feels that they're entitled. Just because something is fair doesn't mean, just because something's equal doesn't mean it's fair. And in the eyes of some individuals, they believe they're entitled to more and they should get. And they're willing to go to court. They're willing to disrupt things to make a point. And a lot of times it's based on, with family members, it's based on, you know, childhood disagreements. People don't get along, and now as adults, they still hold on to childhood resentment. You know, mom likes you better, and right. I deserve more, or I did more for mom, and why are you getting as much as me? So all of that could be alleviated by the testator, person who writes the will, whose estate it is, sits down everybody and says, this is the way I want things to go. But a lot of times, because families keep this all secret, because it's, it's sort of a taboo topic to talk about money, to talk about, death, in keeping it secret, we end up with these surprises at the end of the day.
I still don't understand, though, what they expect to win. I mean, if the will says David gets 75%, I get 25%, how can I sue to get 50 out of you?
George, don't try to figure it out. People, when I was doing the research for the book, I was talking to mediators, and one of the mediators was
There's no logic to it, is there?
There's no logic. A mediator was telling me that there's two brothers. It was a sizable estate, and it was supposed to be split. And one of the brothers, grown man, said to the mediator, I don't trust him because he's a thief. And he says, what do you mean he's a thief? He says, well, I know when he was 11 years old, he stole a chocolate bar. He stole a chocolate bar, and I don't trust him. And if he was a thief back when he was 11 years old, he's now stealing from me right now and my parents. And everybody wants to have their day in court. And I'm no different, because I ended up being in court. But my parents lived it. I know they were horrified to see their children in court fighting over an estate. But the reason why we ended up doing it is because it was supposed to be split three ways, and one individual couldn't accept that. So they had to make things difficult. So we had to go to court. But your day in court is not like being on Law and Order. It's not over in an hour. The day in court can go on for months. It could go on for years.
Yep.
So you have to accept that, and then on top of that, you've got the legal fees on.
And who decides, a judge or a jury? Can you pick a jury trial for something like that?
In my case, it was a judge, and when you're in front of the judge, and that's the other reason you go to court, you say, of course, if I just get in front of the judge, of course he's going to see how unreasonable the other party is. Of course they're going to see it, but it doesn't work that way. The judge isn't going to. A lot of times I was sitting there, and I was like having an out-of-body experience. I'm sitting there, and the judge is asking questions going down a different path, which has absolutely nothing to do with the case, but I don't know where they're going with that. And that's what when you go to court, you actually give up, the control, and you've got, in our case, you've got lawyers. These are strangers. These aren't people. We're sitting at our holiday table, deciding, our family fate. The assets that my parents owned, we no longer own. And on top of that, since the court cases, we no longer get together over the holiday. So, and this is all because of an estate.
What is an irrevocable trust?
Irrevocable trust is that when it comes to trust, it's when you set it up, and every estate is different, but it's when you set it up and that there can't be any changes made to it. But when you pull in an irrevocable trust into any estate, and when you're planning it, I talk about in the book that you're going to need some professionals. You're going to need an accountant. You're going to need a lawyer, especially a tax lawyer. And when you're doing that, building that will, they're going to give you the right, point you in the right direction of what makes sense based on your wishes for tax saving. Yes, it makes sense to have an irrevocable trust, an educational trust, which makes sense in any situation to meet your particular wishes.
Amazing work that this is happening. How do people get your book, Executor Help?
You can go to my website, david.com, or you can go on Amazon. It's now just been released as on Audible. So it's an audiobook now. Spent time reading it. I'm really proud of it. And you go to my website, there's a quiz to see what kind of family you have and what you need to do. I've got free resources. There's an executor checklist, all the social media companies. They all have, when someone dies, they all have rules. They're not all the same. So there's a free resource to download what you need to do for the social media thing. So there's other resources that are free there right on the website.
The late Bernie Madoff, who of course had one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever, got a lot of money from estates and trusts, didn't he?
Yes, he did. So whoever, again, estates and trusts, it probably was for trust, and that's different from an estate, but the trustee is different from an executor, and the trustee was making an investment decision to, buy into his particular, as well, we come to find out, the Ponzi scheme. But they were on the hook to make these investment decisions. Unfortunately, they made bad decisions.
Yeah.
So the trust was, lost money there.
The scheme collapsed.
Sorry?
The scheme collapsed.
The scheme collapsed, and now the trustee who made those investment decisions, depends on what the rules are written into it, but they could be liable or they may not. But the biggest hit is taking, hopefully, not all of the assets of the trust, because it would have been an investment to generate income for beneficiaries. It could be for education, could be for special needs. So hopefully all of the investment money didn't go into there because the beneficiaries have lost out of income.
Have you seen cases, David, where a very loving family has fallen apart over a squabble?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon, and it comes back to the basis of what the family was built on. If we get together, at Christmas and vacations, and we all enjoy each other's company, like I said before, every family's got issues. But if there's no communication and there's no talk about what's going to happen to the next generation. And, you know, it's been statistics that 70% of inheritance don't make it to the next generation because it's either, you know, they've either squabbled it, burnt it, or they haven't prepared the next generation for the money to be passed down.
How many people feel like they're entitled, David? That they're entitled to the money?
A lot of people. They feel entitled because they see this is money owed to them, and they need to either fix their financial situation that they've been doing over their lifetime, and this is sort of seen as a lottery ticket, and this is their winning. And what's standing in the way of them getting that money is the executor. What's taking so long? What are you doing? Are you doing something? Are you doing something that's not? Are you keeping some of the money?
Right.
What's taking so long?
Is the money even there?
Well, yeah, the money will be there if the executor's up front and says, this is what the estate is, what it's worth, this is what's supposed to come to you, but I've got these bills to pay, I've got these taxes to pay, and before I stretch it to make sure the estate stretches you a check, you need to make sure that all of these obligations are taken care of first, and then you will be paid after that.
And where is the money generally, David, where the executive controls it? Where is it? In a bank?
You would set up an estate account, and then, depending on what the asset's worth, you're going to want to liquidate it. So at any one time, in settling the estate, you're probably going to have to deal with maybe 17 different professionals. Your core team, as the executive, you're the quarterback, but on your team, you're going to need an accountant, you're going to need a lawyer, you're going to need an investment advisor.
That's not cheap. Not cheap.
Yeah, well, their time is going to be paid from the estate. You got to be upfront with because you can't do all this stuff to yourself.
You can't. David, hold on. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and take phone calls with you next on Coast to Coast AM.
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to
Hey, if you're wasted, what are you doing going on television?
Or the radio for that matter.
Or the radio for that matter.
Jerry and Shannon. Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
Want to boost your immunity and protect your community? Get a COVID-19 booster. They help keep you and others safe from the virus and its variants this season and beyond. If it's been at least 6 months since your last dose of Pfizer or Moderna, or at least 2 months since your last dose of J&J, it's time for a booster. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find a booster near you. Let's keep our immunity strong. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Inventing Anna, the official podcast, delves deeper into the story behind the Netflix series about Anna Sorokin, the fake heiress who stole the hearts and money of New York social elite, featuring conversations with the actual people who played a part in this iconic story, and series creator Shonda Rhimes.
My theory of Anna, which is, it is that thing that Lillian says, I will make you famous. The world will know who you are.
Listen to Inventing Anna, the official podcast on the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Contractor license 1047-781.
Wacky Sacky? Yeah? Do you know what time it is? Look at your cell phone. It's time for rejuvenation. What? Air conditioners work 24/7. And rejuvenation brings them back to life, all rosy cheeked, and it puts a spring in their step. Well, so what's the benefit of rosy cheeks and a springy step? Your AC will cool better, last longer, and use less energy. You gonna clean my outside cold? The right way, not the easy way. And make all 6 critical adjustments? Of course, we never do anything halfway. What's this reju thing gonna cost me? $129. But you're not saying it right. How am I supposed to say? Rejuvenation. If I say it wrong, you'll still come over and do it? Sure. GOETTL. But it would be better if you said it right. We do things well, but Kenny's crazy as, well...
What the hell is going on? Well, we're about to tell you. KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County.
Happy Friday. You made it through the week. It's time for your morning wake-up call. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Hello. Friday. There's something about you that I like more and more every week. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. This is March 11th. Of course, we're talking first about Ukraine this morning on your wake-up call. Russia has widened its military offensive in Ukraine. So we're going to talk with ABC's Louis Martinez about that. A senior defensive official says there are indications, what's the word, that Russia could be planning to use a false flag operation about the U.S. and Ukrainian biochemical weapons. And they would use that as kind of a lead-up to those potential attacks, those specific kinds of potential attacks. So how imminent might something like this be, or is this just a warning of a possibility? I want to dig much deeper into that with Louis in just a few minutes. Finally, remember yesterday morning, I started the show asking if Major League Baseball and the players could, I think my words were, get their stuffing together. They have. Thank goodness. They've reached an agreement on a new labor deal. And do you guys remember Luis from Sesame Street? He's kind of one of the OG characters. He was a fix-it shop owner, remember Luis? He died at the age of 81. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Let's start with some of the stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Russia has widened its military offensive in Ukraine. Its forces have now struck close to airports in the west of the country for the first time. ABC's Ian Panel says Russian troops have put more pressure on the city of Kyiv as the people are trying to get out of there.
Something like 80,000 people have fled just from this region and Sumy over the last couple of days.
Now, new satellite photos show artillery pieces raised into firing position all around the capital. The U.S. and its allies have prepared to revoke Russia's favored trading status to further cripple its economy. And we're going to talk more about the indications that we heard from the Defense Department yesterday that possibly Russia is going to do this false flag operation to give it an excuse to use biochemical weapons. That's coming up with Louis Martinez in 5 minutes. A man has been killed while saving the life of his 2-year-old son during a hit-and-run in South L.A.
And the LAPD says it's still looking for the driver of the car. Detectives say on the evening of February 26th, the man, his wife, and their boy were using a crosswalk eastbound on 84th Street at Hoover when a gray sedan swerved into the opposite lane. And just as the car was about to hit the boy, the father pushed him out of the way. The father was struck and died on the scene. The boy and mother were treated at a hospital. A reward of up to $50,000 has been offered, and investigators say they hope someone witnessed the fatal hit and run. Steve Gregory, KFI News.
That is so heartbreaking.
They're very giving and charitable, the loving sides to you, but you have another side of you that is profoundly arrogant and selfish and narcissistic.
Ouch. A judge in Chicago has ripped into Jussie Smollett before sentencing the actor to jail for lying to cops about a staged hate crime.
This was premeditated to the extreme, and I find that your extreme premeditation in this case is an aggravating factor.
The judge gave Smollett 2.5 years probation and 150 days in jail yesterday. Smollett again said he is innocent.
I'm not. If anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that.
Smollett's lawyers have asked to let him remain free while they appeal, but the judge wasn't having it.
The wheels of justice turn slowly, and sometimes the hammer of justice has to fall, and it's falling right here, right now. I'm not saying this.
Smollett held his fists in the air as he was led out of court. And I just saw a statement from the Associated Press from his grandmother. Jussie Smollett's grandma asks the judge not to send him to prison and says, if you do, send me along with him. Major League Baseball and the Players Association have reached an agreement on a new labor deal. That means the players could start reporting to spring training later today. An opening day would be moved up to April 7th. A Huntington Beach Police Tactical Flight Officer said, we're going down, seconds before he was killed in a helicopter crash.
The new details in a federal preliminary report shows the pilot who survived was unable to pull the helicopter out of a sudden rotation.
He had a lot of factors to contend with.
USC helicopter crash investigator Robert Renzio says, think of driving at night.
We have had problems missing an exit because it's too dark. Imagine in an aircraft in a three-dimensional world, looking down and seeing lights that are going from your right to your left as you're spinning.
He says Andy's trying not to hit people. The helicopter hit water in Newport Beach last month.